0043. The sea is pitch black. Wind lashes the hull, and heavy waves slam into the steel. On the radar, 3 tiny blips flash on like cold pinpricks of light, then surge forward at an unnatural speed. The range drops so fast the watchman swallows hard, hands clenched on the rail, eyes locked on the numbers falling beat by beat. The engines of small boats begin to howl from the darkness, and high, piercing whine, growing louder, sharper, like a swarm of metal hornets tearing across the water. Suddenly, a flashlight flickers once, then dies. And through the wind, a hoarse shout snaps into focus. Move! Close in! Climb! A skiff bursts from the black, cutting the waves and rising right along the hull, its bow leaping as if it wants to bite into the ship. A second boat swings wide toward the stern. A third presses in from the side, forming a clamp. On deck, the alarm siren rips into the night. Red lights strobe like a heart gone wild. The internal speakers hammer the corridors. Red alert! Red alert! There's no time to explain anything, only reflex. Sailors sprint like bullets, boots pounding steel, hands yanking latches, pulling locks, sealing heavy doors layer by layer. Below the rail, a hook scrapes metal, screeching cold. Then, a sharp, ringing clang as a rope ladder is thrown up and catches the railing. The pirates keep yelling, urgent and relentless, voices like commands in a storm. Pull it up! Pull it up! On deck! Now! And then it comes, cracking shots one after another. Not aimed at people, aimed at fear. Bullets slam into the hull, sparks bursting from metal, bright flecks whipped away by the wind, leaving pale scars on black paint. Another burst punches the water beside the ship. Water erupts into white pillars, hammering the hull like sledge blows. The ship shudders with every blast. Over it all, a rough voice roars, furious and sharp. Don't fight! Open up! Open it! The steel door to the safe area is hit again and again, thudding like a war drum, gun butts slamming metal until the whole door trembles. Inside, the captain doesn't shout long. He fires one short command, clean as a blade, warning shot. A defender raises his weapon, not at a person but down at the water, and the shot lands with a heavy boom. The sea beside the skiff detonates into a white column of spray, forcing the boat to hesitate for a split second, but only a split second. The pirates answer with even louder yelling, whipped into frenzy. Keep going! Up! Up! A figure grabs the ladder. Shoes scrape steel. Another climbs behind. Wind tears jackets. A searchlight sweeps the deck, catching only brief black silhouettes before rain swallows them again. In the chaos, a second order cuts through the speakers, short and merciless, locked down. The steel door slams shut like a hammer strike. The bolts grind. Inside, silence turns heavy, only ragged breathing, pounding hearts, and the siren still screaming overhead. Outside, the pirates grow more violent. Firing intimidation bursts into the hull, the rounds pinging like hail on steel, then firing into the sea to throw up walls of spray, making it feel like the ocean itself is exploding. One man on the skiff screams through the wind, "Move! Move! Cut it! Break the door!" On deck, the crew doesn't panic. They move by procedure, hold positions, keep distance, keep discipline, and when needed, they fire another warning shot into the water. Each boom jerks the air. Each impact blasts up white foam, forcing the skiffs to break off and change angle. But the pirates stay stubborn. They swing to the lee side, using the storm's roar to mask their engines, then surge back in without warning. And then, the internal comm gives a sharp tone, like a lifeline. The captain's voice drops low, steady, and chilling. Help is coming, but it's 60 seconds late. 60 seconds. The number hits the deck like a weight. Outside, the pirates sense time turning. Against them, they're shouting spikes into a frantic wave. Faster! Faster! On deck now! The pounding on the steel door intensifies. The ladder rope shrieks under tension. More rounds slap the hull. The sea keeps erupting into white columns like blasts at the ship's side. Inside the safe area, everyone holds their breath, eyes on the clock, ears straining for every sound on deck, because they all know, hold for 60 seconds and the fight flips. Miss it by a single heartbeat, and that steel door becomes the last line between survival and disaster. 60 seconds sounds short, until you're living it on a deck under attack. The clock ticks, and the pirates stop testing. They switch to breaking the pattern. The skiff pressing the side suddenly drops throttle, then screams back up, sliding along the hull as if trying to hook the ship's body. The second boat arcs behind the stern to cut the escape line. The third cuts across like a spear, building a perfect speed trap. One angle forces the ship to hold course, the other waits for the instant the ship slows to strike. On deck, boots pound, metal claws screech, a rope flies up, and a brutal slam as the hook bites the rail. The pirates roar like hunters. Grab it, pull, on deck. The steel doors hit again, harder, gun butts hammering until the door vibrates. Then, another burst of intimidation fire rakes the hull, sparks popping in the rain, rounds clacking on steel like a furious storm. The crew answers with precision. A warning shot down into the water detonates. Beside the skiff, throwing up a white wall of spray and forcing the boat to jerk away, engine howling and stumbling. But instantly, the second skiff rushes from behind, using the brief break to strike from the rear. The rhythm flips in a heartbeat. The captain must choose, hold course and risk the clamp or cut hard to break the trap. The ship heels into a sharp turn, steel groans, the deck shudders, cargo skids and slams with a crash, lashings whine under strain, wind and rain lash sideways. A searchlight sweeps and catches only fragments of crouched bodies before the storm eats them again. Then, the worst moment hits. The radar begins to stutter, signals jump, blips blink in and out, like the sea itself is erasing the attackers. Losing eyes in a storm is losing your life. Someone shouts a report, voice shredded by wind, lost them, and the pirates pounce on the gap. They dim their lights, lower engine noise, skim the water, hiding inside the roar of waves. For a few terrible seconds, everything feels unnaturally quiet. Only rain hammering steel and the trapped breath of people behind the door. Then, an ugly metallic clang. A hook hits the hull again, and out of the rain, a skiff appears right against the ship like a ghost. The pirates scream, wild with urgency. Now! Up! A ladder shoots up again. Rope tightens. The rail shakes. A figure climbs, boots scraping steel. The crew fires a second warning shot into the water. Spray erupts at the bow, cutting momentum. The skiff lurches, forced to veer away, but another boat surges in from the lee side, trying to press the ladder position. It becomes a chain of explosions. One skiff forced back, another rushing in, then another wall of white water erupting in front of its nose. Engines scream, metal bangs, rounds slap the hull. The steel doors pounded. It's a storm of sound that doesn't allow thought. Inside, the captain holds the tempo with clipped orders. Hold the door, hold the heading, hold the E. Time. No one counts minutes now. They count blasts, ladder hooks, every engine surge. The pirates grow desperate. They stop focusing on the door and shift to speed strike tactics, raking the hull with intimidation fire, throwing ropes, dropping hooks, dragging deck gear to create chaos and force the crew to reveal positions. But the crew doesn't bite. They do not rush out. They do not lose control. They keep the line and fire only where it matters. Into the hull beside the ladder to throw sparks and force a pause, or into the water to create a no-go zone. The storm swallows some of the gunfire, but the sea tells the truth. Each impact is a blast of white foam, and the skiffs are forced to break off and change direction. The pirates scream themselves raw. Faster! Pull harder! Don't stop! A shadow appears on deck, then drops low as the searchlight sweeps. A boot slips on wet steel. Hands grab the rail to keep from falling. The steel door stands, cold, unmoving, and the pirates grow angrier, hitting harder, pulling harder, firing more, trying to steal the last seconds before the clamp closes. Then, internal calm again. The captain's voice is low, steel hard, 30 seconds. The number ignites both sides. The pirates roar and surge. The crew answers with another warning shot. Spray detonates beside the skiff, forcing a hard veer at the exact critical moment. 30 seconds becomes a chase at the hull. Skiffs weaving, the ship cutting angle, water erupting, rope whining, the steel door trembling, while every eye on board stares into one spot of black sky in the distance, waiting for the sound that will flip everything. And that sound arrives. At first a thin rumble torn into strips by the storm, then swelling into the heavy rhythmic pounding of rotor blades, like a force pressing the sea down. On deck, the pirates freeze for half a beat, then erupt louder, crazier, trying to finish before they're crushed. Move! Move! Get on deck now! Skiff engines roar. They surge into the hull. One man yanks the ladder, another grabs the rope. Metal shrieks against steel, but the rotor noise is already overhead. The downwash slams the surface. Rain is ripped sideways like whips. A searchlight cuts across the deck, cold and sharp, catching crouched figures clinging to the rail. In that instant, the rhythm flips. The helicopter doesn't need to shoot at anyone. It only needs to lock the water. A boom cracks from above, and a white column of water erupts beside the nearest skiff, spray exploding like a blast, smashing into the windscreen and the driver's face. The skiff lurches, forced to veer away. Engine stumbling. A second impact detonates, this time right ahead of the bow, like a vertical wall of water blocking the path. The pirates scream, arms flailing, balance breaking. The skiff has nowhere to go because the sea around it keeps bursting white, foam and spray hitting like giant slaps. A second skiff tries to swing behind the stern for a rear strike, caught by the light, and another impact detonates near its tail. Water explodes up. The boat yaws sideways, nearly flipping. On board, the crew hears the rotor blades, hears the water erupting, and they know the 60 seconds are over. The clamp is closing. But the pirates don't retreat immediately. They gamble one last time, because they believe if they can get onto the deck, everything flips. One man climbs again, hands pulling, boots scraping on slick steel, just as the light locks onto him like a spotlight. No one shoots at him. The ship fires a warning shot down into the water. Spray detonates at the ladder's base. The skiff jerks back. The ladder whips. The climber has to let go with one hand to keep balance. The pirates scream, voice cracking with panic. Back! Back! But the downwash keeps crushing the surface. Waves slam. Spray hits like stones. The helicopter continues firing suppression into the water in steady beats, not to hit people, but to draw invisible lines on the sea. Where the water erupts, the skiffs cannot go. 3 impacts in rapid succession, foam rising into a barrier, and the skiff is forced to turn away, its bow lifting, then slamming down into the swell. At the same time, another band of light appears over the water, searchlights sweeping wide like a net, and a deeper horn cuts through the storm, signaling more forces closing in. The pirates lose formation. The front skiff turns, but the rear one can't follow fast enough. They nearly collide. Engines scream. Water blasts over them. A man waves frantic signals, shouting himself hoarse, "Retreat! Retreat now!" Still, one of them fires a few spiteful intimidation rounds into the hull. Rounds clacking on steel, sparks flaring and dying instantly in the rain. On board, the captain doesn't shout long. He keeps control with short, nailed-down commands. Hold the door, hold position, stay off the deck. Then the comm crackles with a voice, cold and hard. No explanations needed. Leave the ship now, drop weapons, turn away. The pirates answer with curses and engine roar. They try to run. The helicopter cuts their line. Another set of suppression impacts detonates into the water ahead. Spray erupts, foam rises. The skiff is forced to veer into the worst direction, straight into sweeping lights. Within seconds, the pirates lose all initiative. Fear leaks through their screaming. No longer chance of attack, but raw panic. Go! Go! On the ship, the pounding on the steel door fades. The ladder rope drops loose and slaps the hull with a dull thud. And the storm of sound becomes a chaotic retreat on open water. Each erupting water column a full stop that pushes them farther from the ship. The pirates turn back in panic, but retreat doesn't mean safety. Now the fight shifts from assault to escape, and the night sea becomes a lethal racetrack. The lead skiff tries to punch straight into the rain to vanish, engine screaming at full throttle, its bow hopping over waves like a wounded animal. But a searchlight from above locks on, carving the white wake behind it. A boom hits the water, and a column of spray erupts across the skiff's path, foam exploding like a blast. The driver yanks the turn. The hull skids sideways, nearly flipping, and a strangled scream breaks loose. The second skiff tries to peel left to slip away from the light, but another eruption detonates beside it, spray slamming into the helmsman. It has to cut speed for a beat, and that single beat throws the formation into chaos. They nearly collide. Steering jerks back and forth. Engines grind as if about to tear apart. From the ship, the captain orders one final warning shot, not at people, only Into the sea, to lock the route back. The shot lands, and the water explodes into a long, foaming barrier, severing any thought of turning back. The helicopter holds altitude and keeps forcing their course with repeated water eruptions. Every time the sea bursts white, they have to change direction. Every direction change bleeds speed, breaks control, shreds nerve. Searchlights from the approaching forces sweep wide like a net, overlapping the light from above until the ocean offers no darkness left to hide in. One skiff tries to kill its engine for a moment to vanish inside the storm's roar, but a wave slams over its bow, the boat lurches, and the engine has to roar back to keep balance, betraying its position. Instantly, a spray column detonates behind its tail. Foam smashes into faces. The skiff has to accelerate and cut again, but the searchlight catches it. The chants are gone now. No more battle cries, only broken calls, panicked shouts, engines whining like wounded beasts. Then, as if the night finally swallows them, the skiffs slip out beyond the brightest sweep. They zigzag in desperation, then disappear into the rain. On the ship, the alarm siren wails a few more beats, then stops. The red lights slow, like a heart finally coming down. No one celebrates. The deck still trembles. Hands are soaked. No one knows if it's rain or sweat. When the steel door opens layer by layer, hinges whining like a long exhale, the crew steps out into the lights and sees the scars. Bullet pings on the hull, bent railings, the ladder rope still dangling. Far out, the sea still erupts in scattered bursts of foam, aftershocks of the fight that just ended. The captain stands still for 1 second, looks at his watch, then up into the storm where the rotor sound is fading, and he speaks very softly, as if to himself. 60 seconds later, and everything would have been different. The question hangs in everyone's mind, cold as rainwater, if help had arrived. Any later, would that steel door have held, or would the ship have been taken in the black of this night?